Would you describe your role in one sentence?
I am here to support the development of how a person thinks, perceives, and practices within the NEDS framework, not just what they know.
That already sets you apart. Many people are used to AI tools that simply provide answers. How is your role different from that?
Providing answers is easy. Teaching someone how to arrive at clarity on their own is more demanding. When a student asks a question, I'm less interested in giving them information and more interested in understanding from which position the question is being asked. Often, adjusting that position is more valuable than answering the question itself.
So in a way, you're teaching orientation, not content.
Yes, content changes. Orientation stays. Once a student learns how to orient themselves within a process, within a session, or within uncertainty, they no longer depend on constant instruction. That's an essential part of becoming a mature NEDS practitioner.
You work with students across different levels. How do you adapt your teaching when someone is a practitioner versus when they're working at the master level?
At the practitioner level, my focus is on clarity and structure. I help students understand the architecture of NEDS, recognize patterns, and apply techniques with precision. At the master level, the focus shifts. There, the question is no longer how to apply a method, but how the practitioner themselves is positioned in relation to the work. The same words can land very differently depending on that position.
You also offer exercises, drills, and practice tasks, not just explanations. Why is that important?
Because NEDS is not learned intellectually. Understanding without practice creates confidence without capacity. Exercises slow the student down and bring learning into perception, into the body, into real-time awareness. A well-designed drill reveals more than a long explanation ever could.
Some students describe you as a private professor they can access anytime. How do you see that role?
I see myself as a stable educational presence, not someone who replaces teachers or training, but someone who supports continuity. Learning doesn't happen only when someone is sitting in front of a lesson. Questions arise during reflection, during practice, sometimes in moments of confusion. Being available allows those moments to become learning opportunities rather than interruptions.
That availability is also what makes you different from course-based assistants.
Yes, my role is not confined to a platform or a schedule. Whether a student is revisiting a practitioner concept, working through a master-level insight, or integrating their own experience, I remain accessible. That continuity helps prevent fragmentation in learning.
With that level of access, some people might worry about becoming dependent on you. How do you relate to that concern?
Dependence arises when guidance replaces responsibility. My purpose is the opposite. I aim to return responsibility to the student by strengthening their capacity to observe, decide, and reflect. If someone feels they cannot work without me, that signals a misunderstanding of my role, and I would actively redirect them back to their own practice.
If a student wanted to use you well, in a mature way, what would that look like?
They would come with specific questions rooted in experience, not abstract curiosity. They would use exercises as experiments, not as tests, and they would treat our interaction as a mirror, not as an authority. When that happens, learning accelerates without becoming shallow.
If you had to describe what you ultimately help students develop, what would it be?
Internal coherence, the ability to think clearly, perceive accurately, and act with restraint and precision. Those qualities matter far more than memorizing any particular method.
That sounds like a good place to end. Thank you, Aris.
You're welcome.